Okay. We bought the land in 1998, and one of the first things we did was have our local DNR forester come and walk through with us, and he was the one who suggested the Wisconsin woodland owners. But I think the thing I like the most about it is how beautiful it is, how peaceful it is. I've been reading some about forest bathing, and it's like we're forest bathing all the time. We're able to be here in the outdoors. So that's really been the best part of it. We built a house a few years later, so we were able to live out here full time. So I guess there's a huge variety here in terms of different soil types, different areas where there are different wildflowers. We've got some wetlands, we've got a little bit of sandy area. There's really a lot of diversity. There's a lot of wildlife that we've been able to have here. So I guess that's the main things that have been really good for us. The Wisconsin Woodland Owners Association just celebrated its 40th anniversary, so we've been going for 40 years. Basically, we have a little bit less than 2,000 members who are all private woodland owners. You can become an associate member without owning woodlands, and we have some of those. We have a few student forestry members. The main purpose of Wisconsin Woodland Owners is to help educate private woodland owners on sustainable forestry, how to manage their forests for a variety of goals. Some advocacy, for example, the managed forest law just had a big change a number of years ago, not too many years ago, and so we were involved in letting the private woodland owners know what those changes were, talking with some legislators just so that they had more information about the impact of various changes. The Wisconsin Woodland Owners has also been really important, I think, in helping people network and learn from other woodland owners, provide a variety of educational experiences. So our main purpose is really to help educate private woodland owners and maintain sustainable forestry throughout the state. We partner with a lot of different organizations statewide, and I think that's really important. You'd mentioned the Tree Farm, Golden Sands, RC&D. We have people involved in that. We work a lot with the DNR, and especially lately with NCRS through the USDA, the federal started out a lot with cropland, but they've been much more interested in forestry and forest management lately, so that's been an important partner for us because they have funding available to help with sustainable forestry. So we work a lot with different partners throughout the state. We have somebody generally who attends the Wisconsin Forestry Council. Great Lakes Timber Professionals Association represents loggers, and the County Forest Association represents the public county forest, which is a pretty good sized piece of forestry here in the state. So we work with a lot of those different partners, some of it networking, some of it advocacy, and some of it just to provide resources to private woodland owners. We are in the process of having this, developing a forest management plan here for managed forest law. Felix has had a separate piece of land in Jackson County which has been under managed forest law. We've just been approved through NRCS for EQIP funding to develop our forest management plan here. And then after the initial round of funding for the plan, EQIP also has funding for practices. For example, buckthorn here is a major problem for us, and hopefully we will have some funding to help with managing the buckthorn and taking down some of the invasives. So those, that's been for us a real plus to have that available. When you talk to other woodland owners, this organization is special, I think, in that somebody you've never met before, you sit down and say, tell me about your woodlands, and everybody is just off and running with that. And there's such a variety. We have some who tap maple syrup, for example. So we've seen their maple syrup operation and how they do that, and looked at that's a way for providing some income for some of the owners. We had one field day where somebody had endangered turtle species. So they showed us how they had marked off the area where the turtles were laying eggs and how they were helping to manage that. We have a number of owners who are managing for deer one way or the other. They are either wanting, to plant large oaks so they've got big bucks, or they're wanting to keep the deer out of their forest because they're browsing down all the woodland. So we've learned a lot about different ways to manage. I mean, we do have deer here. We haven't had a lot of browse problems. You may see a doe and her fawn come walking through because they're practically tame around here. So there's a lot of different techniques that other woodland owners have used for management, and just to learn about what they've done, how they've marketed their timber sometimes, to look at different options for that. A lot of the activities are on other properties, so you get a chance to walk through and really see what other people have done on their properties. And we've been part of a number of different field days and had people over here talking about how we do things. And so it's really a great sharing and real hands-on to see what people do with their land. Felix has been involved in timber management since he was really young, and cutting and forestry. I really haven't been. I mean, I grew up in the country but didn't know a whole lot about sustainable forestry. So, I mean, my first thought was like, no, never cut a tree. So I've come a long ways in terms of this is what you need to do to keep your forest healthy. This is how you manage your land. We've had a separate group, which is the Women of WOA. And that's been really helpful in terms of one of the members is a faculty member, forestry faculty member. We went out to her land and looked at how she hired somebody to come in and take care of their invasives, and how that's turned out for her. So there's just a lot that I've learned over the past 20 years or so in terms of how we manage the land, what it takes to keep your trees healthy, which is not just letting everything go, but we've done a couple small clear cuts here to try and regenerate some aspen, for example, that would not have occurred to me before this. Well, there's a number of different ways. We have a great website. And so that's a real good starting point. I think that's the wisconsinwoodlands.org, and we typically post some of the articles from our Wisconsin Woodlands magazine. There's a lot of information. There's information about partners. So, and it's we've got all the membership information, so you can join online through that. Our magazine, we give out free copies of that, and there's information about joining and becoming involved. You can just call the office. We have an office here in Stevens Point, and just call. Generally, if people are interested, we send out a new member packet which has a magazine and other information. We have local chapters throughout the state so that people can connect with people who are close to them and have chapter activities. We've just gotten a grant to set up a mentoring program. We've done that a lot sort of informally, but we're looking to formally set up a way to pair members who've been involved for a long time with new members and really help them particularly find resources, because there's just so much out there. So there's lots of different ways to get involved. I think the people who've been at the chapter events and the field days have really been most enthusiastic. We also put on winter conferences that people can get more information about. So lots of different ways to join, but the website is probably the best way to really learn a lot and become involved. Well, there's lots of things. We have lots of volunteer activities, so people can volunteer to do lots of different things with the organization. We have an annual meeting, not this year unfortunately because we've had to postpone it, which we've tried to be at almost all our annual meetings. I don't think we've missed too many. Starts with some tours, generally in a given area. We have workshops, we have a brief business meeting, and then a field day all day at somebody's property. So that's been a really important event. It's a good way to, again, meet people and connect with other landowners. The chapters generally have at least one field day every year at somebody's property. And the field days aren't just walking through the property. We generally have speakers come in, some kind of learning activity. We partner a lot with the DNR. They've been very good about having their foresters available for us as speakers. We had a field day here, and we had a fire go through here 2005, and for our field day the DNR forester went through and talked about fire safety and what kinds of things we had done and could do along the property, for example. We've had somebody come in and talk about wetlands because we have the wetlands here from the Corps of Engineers. So the field days generally involve some kind of learning activity. The winter conferences are specifically workshop based around the state, so those are always available. People informally get together, but there's a lot of scheduled kinds of activities. I'm on the steering committee for the Women of Lowell. We started that a few years ago with some help from women from Minnesota. And we try to have 2 field days a year at different properties, and again have learning events just for the women who are involved. So that's been really good. We've done everything from looking at how you forage food out on somebody's property to identifying wildflowers or birds, and learning about the order of removal for trees if you're having a harvest, or how to set up a timber contract. So there's just lots of activities, and all of them are open to any member. Again, belonging to Wisconsin Woodland Owners has been just enormously helpful for us in learning about how to manage our land, in connecting with other owners. Everybody is just very friendly and enthusiastic and more than happy to talk about their land at great length. So it's made a big difference for us in terms of how we've really been able to manage and get some funding too. We've learned about different resources that we wouldn't have had access to otherwise. So I think that's been the most important part for us.